Hello and welcome to the first edition of Journalist Hangout. This week, I'm Ayodele Zubakun. Today on the program, Niger Delta Avengers destroy 5 oil facilities in fresh attacks. Attorney General of the Federation says the court should resolve the Abia crisis. And later in the program, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority orders airliners to stop the sale of tickets in foreign currencies. I'll be joined by Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Lekon Shote, and Tunde Abaton to talk about these issues. The program starts now. The ceasefire agreement between the federal government and the militants in the Niger Delta has suffered serious setbacks. Over the weekend, 5 oil facilities belonging to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Chevron, and the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company were blown up. The group is yet to give reasons for the attacks, but reports say they are angry that the federal government has not shown serious commitment to the peace talks it called last month. Ijaw youths have also decried the attitude of President Buhari to addressing the issues in the oil-rich region. With these renewed hostilities, Nigeria's economic woes might be further worsened. Right now, Nigeria is officially in recession. Is there an end in sight to these bombings soon? Jide, got the card here. We projected 2.2 million barrel per day.
For the last probably 5 years.
You know, that's what we've been getting. And for the 2016 budget, we actually thought, you know, it's going to be predicated on this. But from what we're getting now with the vandalization of these facilities, the Avengers, they've resumed hostilities after maybe 2 weeks, thinking the federal government will show enough stride. They've blown up 5 pipelines, and the Avengers militants say they're yet to justify these attacks.
Yeah, the question that people will ask is why have they suddenly decided to scale up these attacks? Because they mellowed down for some time, you know, when we were having these talks in the papers that when we were reading the papers that the federal government was going to negotiate with them. I think naturally they stopped bombing during that time, but no significant progress had been made since the federal government indicated its desire to talk to the boys. Now, I think that what must have triggered this fresh spate of bombings is the announcement by the oil minister that Nigeria produced on the average 1.9 million liters over the past month. So, and they also the government also announced that Nigeria sold in excess of 700 billion naira, you know, from oil. I mean, made in excess of 700
So that
billion
means
from oil.
you guys have not felt the impact.
Efforts,
That's why.
Yes, that means their efforts, despite the bombings and all that, you know, their
That
efforts.
we
That
could
means their
still-
efforts have come to nothing in the
We
recent.
still do 1.9 million.
If we could still do 1.9, that means
from
they've not
1.3.
hurt Nigeria sufficiently. It was also announced that some repairs were quickly done, which ensured that that we could actually scale up the production of oil. You know, at a point it was around 1.4. You know, so if we could do 1.9 million liters a day on the average for the past month, despite the fact that we had many attacks during that period, it shows that the attacks by the Avengers have literally come to nothing. Yes, they are going to cause a lot of despoilation in the areas where those attacks are taking place. But in the real sense, in terms of earnings, they've not significantly hurt Nigeria. So it's like responding in anger to the positive vibes coming from the oil ministry. They say, oh, so despite all these efforts, we have not really hurt Nigeria the most. And if it continues like that, they know that no further attempts will be made to negotiate with them. Because the reason we are desperate to negotiate with them is the harm that they are causing to the Nigerian economy. You know? So if despite all their destructions to our oil assets, oil production assets, if we were still able to make more than 700 billion, you know, if we were still able to sell on the average 1.9 million barrels a day, it shows that they've not really hurt Nigeria as much as they would have wanted to. So they must have felt that, well, if we don't scale up these attacks and cause much more substantial damage, the government will not negotiate in the end. The government will not take us seriously in the end. I'm sure that's why they've decided to do this. But it really makes no sense. And I align myself with the governor of Bayelsa, who has said, look, stop these attacks. Because you are not just, it's not just the Nigerian economy that you are hurting. You are hurting the livelihood of, yes, the people in the areas playing host to these pipelines, you know, where you have Chevron, because they particularly target Chevron and Ajib, where you have Chevron and the rest, and even NNPC pipelines. People living in those areas, you are putting their lives in grave danger. You are making life difficult for them. So it's not just Nigeria that you are hurting. You are hurting the people who have not offended you.
Lekon, we're told it's going to take 30 years to clean up Ogoni land. That's the spiral effect of what we've had, you know. And these Avengers, they claim to be avenging for their maybe their people and everything, but indirectly they are causing more environmental havoc to this community. You know, you want to attack Nigeria, you want to bring our economy down and everything, but what you are doing to that environment. So if Ogoni alone will take 30 years,
how about the
so
entire
these guys, and if you go to the Niger Delta, the story is pathetic. They can't fish, they can't drink that water, they can't do anything reasonable, they can't farm with that water.
You know.
It's all...
Well, I've always had sympathy to the cause of the South-South. That's why I concede that, okay, it's all right to give them 13% derivation. It is okay to have an NDDC. It is all right to have the Ministry of Niger Delta. It is also all right to have, shall we call it, the amnesty program, you know. But there's a question I want to ask the Avengers of Niger Delta. It used to be that oil was not the mainstay of the economy of this country.
Yes.
And resources from other parts of the country was used globally, that's nationally,
to process.
And the people of these regions never went to war, never started to say, our money, our oil, our this. Do you understand? And you people shared out of this money before oil became the big deal. I think some people are being very, very selfish. You know, and I think it's high time Nigeria actually speaks to them. We need to, just as we speak the truth to government, we also need to speak truth to ourselves. The other people, they have a good cause, yes, especially because of the environmental degradation. I concede all those, whatever the government is giving to them. But you don't then now begin to say, supposing, listen, Titusville in America, where oil was first discovered, it's no more.
Just like Oloibiri is no more.
If you get to Titus, there's nothing going on in Titusville. And this is a depleting resources. And then the question is, the point is this, how about all the monies sent to the South-South? Who spent it? For what purpose? So just as they are asking questions from the federal government, they should be talking to their own leaders locally. Because I think it's a bit unfair. You know, yes, you have a point, but by the time they are carrying the thing too far. There are some people, resources from some parts, other regions of Nigeria, finance Nigeria, including the South, until we have oil. So why don't we just sit down and have a talk? However, I understand the federal government needs to talk to them. They first said they will kill the president if he came to Ogoni to launch the Ogoni thing, but they didn't kill the vice president. And then I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, they actually invited him to come and visit them, to come and see for himself, which is a good. I think he probably needs to, to go. And if he's going, he doesn't need to announce. We've seen American president will go to the war zone in Iraq, Afghanistan. It's only the pictures and the footage that we will see that he has visited the places. So he doesn't quite need to tell us, I'm going there today or tomorrow.
Abato, now this federal government, they are not in a position to throw billions, to resolve this. They are not in position right now, the best of position financially, to give anybody money or, to promise more than, okay, the President Buhari said the amnesty program will continue and it will be funded. Do you understand? And severally he has been begging. He has been reaching out to these leaders, but I don't know how well or what's the Avengers, what they expect Mr. President to do.
Well, I think there's always a time in the life of a country that you have to look back and see what you have failed to do, what you have done, and how you can move forward. I think with the spate of bombings by these Avengers, it means two things. Number one, all the money that we have spent on militants, it means the money has gone into wrong hands. Number two, it also means that some of the leaders of the militants, the money spent on amnesty, it means a larger portion of that money was used in defending themselves so that they can ask for more money. Number three, it also means that NDDC has not been able to do something very significant to affect the lives of the youth who are in the vanguard of this particular thing. If all these answers are yes, then it means that the federal government has to go back and do a holistic review of the whole program and identify who are the real beneficiaries, who are the real people who are angry in the Niger Delta, who are those people who are aggrieved in the Niger Delta. Is it some militants that are aggrieved, or traditional rulers, or those people who are used to making money from the system? Another thing is that the federal government also has to look at another possible international dimension to this thing. Why? Dimension in the sense that it is not impossible that in the last 15 or 20 years, Nigeria has never been able to say this is the amount of oil we have been producing. So it means that as much smuggling that is being carried out in Niger Delta, the money goes into some hands, foreigners too, who will be interested in the kind of situation we have in Niger Delta today, so that the stealing of our oil can also continue. So it means that there is also an international dimension to that particular problem, because the multinationals who are stealing money will also want to support this guy. Because I'm telling you, as we are talking today, people are still bunkering in the Niger Delta. Look at what happened, an extension of that bunkering to Ikorodu here. Because people could not do bunkering in Ikorodu again, they have to turn themselves to an army of occupation and start killing innocent civilians who don't know anything. So I believe that for once, the government has to look back. Let us do an audit of who are the aggrieved people in the Niger Delta. How do we move to do something that will be permanent? The other time I was saying that, look, the moment we begin to use money to settle core issues, because I think these things are really political issues. The moment we begin to use money, there is no end to what we are going to do. Because obviously, there are some other groups, about 5, has come up after Avengers, thinking that the federal government money has exchanged hands between the leaders of Avengers. They also show all what they have. It means that all the money we have been sending to the Niger Delta, 70% of it are being used to buy ammunition. That is the angle that the federal government has to look at, which means they will continue to be better prepared to fight any successive government in Nigeria. And that is the danger. They will continue to be in a better position to fight. And if they are in a better position to fight, our military, if they have the morale, they don't have the technological wherewithal to defeat these people on their soil. So which means the federal government has to sit back and look at the whole thing entirely, so that to see that once and for all, peace returns to Nigeria, including meeting the political demands. Because I have always believed that all these political demands are not too much. Yes, in the First Republic, 50% of the money they make from cocoa and groundnut, the regions retain it. They only pay excise duties. That is excise duty, goods taken out of Nigeria through groundnut and cocoa. The remaining 50%, they retain it to take care of the regions. And that was why most of the regions, they fare better than the federal government, especially the western region. So let us also take a look. Irrespective of whether they are also now going to use the money in the Niger Delta, if it ends up in the wrong hands of their leaders, that is another problem for another day. But we have to look at the political demands of these people.
This thing is quite complex because, as Abato said, we are not facing, okay, the most popular right now is the Avengers, but we've had the emergence of several other splinter groups, and once we start this dialogue, once the federal government start reaching out to them, I've seen the president receiving some leaders in the Niger Delta, and you know the modus operandi, the way it was done before was that there was this carrot and there was this stick somewhere. They dangled the carrot, and you know some of these guys actually negotiated and they turned in their guns and everything. What's the best approach right now?
The best approach is to, yes, show clearly that we want to solve this problem. The way to show clearly that we want to solve the problem is to first engage the leaders of the prominent leaders of the Niger Delta area. Let's engage them. Then the president has said that he wants to rebuild the Niger Delta. He said that last week. The president shouldn't just make that statement. He should show clearly that he wants to rebuild. Let us forget the people who got money some years back and actually spent that money on themselves. If I'm a militant, you gave me some money, I have the right to spend the money the way I want. In fact, I think it is ridiculous for us Nigerians to be saying that some people got money and they didn't develop Niger Delta. Some people talk about
it's not their responsibility.
It's not their responsibility. It's the responsibility. So when they talk about Asari, the Asari has built university. So what? It is the right of any Nigerian to aspire to be better than he was yesterday. So if he set up a university, whose business is that?
Was he giving money to develop the region?
Nobody gave him money to go and develop the Niger Delta. That shouldn't be his responsibility. It should be the responsibility of government. And we are saying that in the Niger Delta, there is enough room. If the federal government really wants to turn things around, you will find that the communities are largely rural. So you can make those communities better, give them good roads, give them water. When people begin to see those signs, honestly, because beyond the militants, there are many people who think that in the Niger Delta, Nigeria has not been fair to them. We have to tell ourselves the truth. But if they can see clearly that President Buhari, who said that he is going to rebuild the Niger Delta, if they can see that he's matching his word with action, imagine, look at the jubilation when Jonathan began working on the second Niger bridge. Look at the jubilation. The people came out because they knew it will relieve them some way, one way or the other. So if we will really show that, yes, we mean business about developing the Niger Delta, about making the Niger Delta better, honestly, the militants themselves will have no choice. And when it comes to negotiating, you don't negotiate with one group. It is not possible to negotiate with one group. Others will come in because, look, MEND was the main group at that time, you know, that we negotiated with. But we had other militants, Ateke Tom and the rest of them. They had their own groups. But eventually, John Togo, all of them, eventually everybody came together and we achieved our aim. So it's not like, oh, if they negotiate with Avenger, then others too will come out. No. No sensible government will negotiate with only one group because you want to solve a problem. You want to solve the problem of militancy. You can't solve that problem by engaging only one group.
Holistic.
So, as someone who witnessed what happened the last time, I know that we didn't negotiate with one group.
Yeah. Okay, let me take Raymond. Raymond is calling us from Lagos. Amos is calling us from Lagos. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Amos. Hello, Amos.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Amos. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much for your program. But just at some time, I'm not comfortable with some of the statements that you people make. Because just like the man in the center. So, yeah, can you hear me?
Make your contribution. Just make your contribution.
Yeah,
you don't need
so
to.
That's what I was saying, because of the way the man in the center, the way he's talking. You know,
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. It's my rule here. I won't allow anybody to refer to any of my guests. If you want to make your contribution, you make your contribution pronto. So that's the best way. So you can call their names and everything, but you can disagree, but you don't have to, you know, I don't know the person at the center. You know who is the person?
There are two of us in the center.
So I don't know the exact person. But we're talking about the groups.
I'm saying that the president has said that he wants to rebuild the Niger Delta.
Scope.
Let's forget the way we used to do things. Oh, you give Niger NDDC some money, give this, you know. Let President Buhari lead the charge. We want to change the way the Niger Delta looks. Let the president take that as his own responsibility. The same way he decided to make himself Minister of Petroleum. Let him say, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to change the Niger Delta. Their own son didn't do much for the people, but I want to give myself immortality. I want these people to remember me for the rest of their lives. So I want to do something. So let him take it upon himself, let him take it as a burden, and then let Nigerians see clearly that the president is moving in that direction. He's matching his words with action. We don't need rhetorics. Show clearly that you want to do it. I'm telling you that when the president does that, we have already suggested on this program that he should visit the Niger Delta. The Nigerian head of state should not be afraid to visit any part of Nigeria. He's the commander-in-chief. Obasanjo was in that position when he was going to hand over Mohamed Abacha. They told him the security report was bad. Don't go there. Don't go there. He said, if I'm the commander-in-chief, I will go to Kano. And he went to Kano and handed Mohamed Abacha to the emir of Kano.
I'm sure that's not a factor. I'm sure that the president cannot.
No. He shouldn't be. An infantry officer. When you are looking for courage in the army, you go for the infantry soldiers. Because they are the ones that you first put on ground to fight. Even if you win aerially, you still must put troops on ground. And our president was an infantry officer. So you know that he has courage. He has demonstrated that in the past. So he needs to visit that place. We said it on this program. Niger Delta is part of Nigeria. The president should visit the Niger Delta. And he should begin the process of rebuilding the Niger Delta that he promised. Let people see that. I'm telling you, because there's nothing like a cause as bad as a cause without followership. When the Niger Delta Avengers, or whatever they call themselves, when they become alienated by their own people, who can see that real change has come and development is taking place in their own area, I can tell you that even they will not be able to carry out the missions that they are carrying out.
Looking at the Yar'Adua model, what was the magic? What did late President Yar'Adua, what did he do that he was able to make inroad into the Niger Delta?
Exactly what Julia said. Engaging the militants, because they were the most vocal segment, you know, and that was a major plank of his achievement, you know. But beyond that, I like to think that good governance is what we need throughout Nigeria, not just Niger Delta.
Good governance.
Because between you and I, practically every part of Nigeria is talking about marginalization, one way or the other. So if there's good governance, I understand about equity. Equity would then mean that where there will be no equality, then you make allowance for the deficiencies, especially, like I said, regarding the environmental degradation in the South-South. Yes, that is why you may need to then spend more money than you will have spent. I think what last week we were talking about to make a road, 1 kilometer of road in
East-West road. For
you probably need, you know,
easier to make it with the north
it's very expensive to do.
Exactly. So I understand that, you know. So I think that's what good governance, as far as I'm concerned, throughout Nigeria, not just Niger Delta, throughout Nigeria, because every segment, every sector, every region in Nigeria deserves good governance. Because, face it, even as we are talking right now, there is still other revenues coming from other parts of the country. There's customs and excise, there is VAT, there is payee, there's company tax still coming from other parts of the country.
All right, I have Ibrahim from Kogi. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Ayo, Babajide.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
Ibrahim.
Yeah, well, I like this program. I've been trying for long.
That's my brother from Igala land.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you for keeping faith.
The program is wonderful. I want to contribute.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, Ibrahim.
The issue of this Niger Delta problem, all of you are speaking well, and everybody and the government are hearing you.
Okay.
The only way forward is that we have to be patient. We have to be patient because nobody can build house in a 1 month or 2 months except you are a thief like all these politicians. Right. You have to give this government time. The moment they understand their plight, as Babajide suggested, that let the president go there, he will go there. The moment they understand them well, they will go to this program and start solving this problem one by one. By bombing all these facilities, they are creating more problems to themselves, not only the country. So I'm appealing to the government also to listen to the idea that Babajide has just said, that let the president call all their kings later. They are powerful people in that region to contact all their militants. They know.
All right, Ibrahim, thank you. Thank you for calling us. Thank you for Ibrahim for contributing. Ibrahim is talking about, you know, that this will come with time. And the situation in Abia State is nothing but confusion. When we return, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says courts can resolve the quagmire. But while will Nigeria's chief law officer distance himself from such a case? Please stay with us. Journalist Hangout will return after this time out. Welcome back. It's Journalist Hangout. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, is yet to offer any legal opinion on the June 27th judgment that sacked Governor Okeze Ikpeazu of Abia State. As the situation further plunges into confusion, Nigeria's chief law officer says only the courts can resolve the crisis. He faults reports linking him to the confusion in the state. Meanwhile, Abia State Internal Revenue Service says Governor Ikpeazu's tax certificate is not fake. The Revenue Board says it was not invited by the courts that sacked the governor, or Uche Oga, the man who the court has declared governor-elect, to confirm the authenticity of the certificates or otherwise. Should Malami be silent on a case like this? Judy, let me just start from Kogi State to, you know, we've had cases like a lot of Nigerians, they rely on this chief law officer of the Federation, that his words will carry weight and his advice. At any point in time, there seems to be a kind of logjam that his advice will calm fringe nerves and will be able to get the position of the federal government. But Abubakar Malami has not been here or there. He has always been, you know. Now, if you are saying it's the courts that will determine, yes, we know. That means we'll be waiting for the Court of Appeal. That's the appellate courts.
Yes. What he has done this time is the right thing. Because it's not the only thing. What he didn't do in Kogi,
But why doesn't he make pronouncements?
Oh no, it's even dangerous for him. Knowing him now,
Nigeria, not of any
knowing him now, it's dangerous for him to make pronouncements in these matters. In Kogi, he should have invited the Supreme Court to give interpretation, to let us know the right way to approach that matter. Obasanjo did that in 2006 when Fayose was impeached. Impeached illegally at that time, illegally. Belgore was the CJM. Belgore came out and said, look, this impeachment cannot stand. That's why I laugh at Nigerians who in 2016 will be referring to Fayose as somebody who was impeached in 2006, because he was not impeached as far as, as far as the law is concerned. He was not impeached because it was the House of Assembly that illegally removed the chief judge. The chief judge was supposed to set up a panel to try Fayose, but because they saw that the chief judge would not do their bidding, they now removed the chief judge. But the assembly did not have the power. So one illegality should not beget another illegality. So Obasanjo now had to step, they impeached Fayose and his deputy, Abiodun Olujimi. Abiodun Olujimi did not commit any offense. So Olujimi was laying claim to that position.
Yes.
So invariably, Obasanjo asked the Supreme Court.
The speaker too was
laying claim, because what they wanted to do was, okay, by the time we chase these two people away, then we will benefit, at that time. So Obasanjo told the Supreme Court to give legal advice. And the Supreme Court said, see, this impeachment cannot stand. Faced with an apparent logjam, Obasanjo now imposed a state of emergency. When we had the problem in Kogi, Malami, knowing that that was a novel, a surreal situation, what he should have done was to invite the Supreme Court. Say, look at the situation we found ourselves. I'm sure the Supreme Court will have said at that time that, look, that election was conclusive because all the results across all the local governments in Kogi State had been announced. They all had been announced. So you can't say that that was an inconclusive election. So the Supreme Court will have given expert advice on the position of law. He didn't do that. In this case, he apparently had learned his lesson, so he decided to just wait, because it makes sense. The court, forget about what ridiculous lawyers in Nigeria have turned themselves to.
I'm telling you.
The law, as far as we are concerned, that judge, the Federal High Court of Okona Bank, is not a final court. So there is no way a decision taken by it will be deemed as final. A decision taken by a Federal High Court is still subject to protest.
Court of Appeal is
by a superior court. Now, if you are fired, if as a court you are fired, Federal High Court you are fired, that judgment has to be tested by a superior court. Now, you did not give room, whereas in our law, lower courts, there is room for appeal at the lower court, even if it's sentenced to death. No, it depends. If tribunal, look at Faleke, for example. Let's give the Faleke example. Faleke did not appeal until more than 3 weeks after, because that room was there. That room was there. So in this case, there was no. You just said they should go and swear in Oga. Where is that done? Where in the world is that done? The ideal thing is to allow for the guy to be able to appeal, so that if the judge erred, because they are human beings, judges make mistakes. If the judge erred, another judge can address that mistake. So it didn't happen. You just said they should go and swear in for reasons best known to INEC. This same INEC, Supreme Court ruled that INEC, that Stella Odua and others should vacate their positions as we speak. That's since January 29 this year. As we speak, Stella Odua is still in the Senate. And after Supreme Court ruled that the Supreme Court upheld the decision of the lower court that the leadership of the PDP in Anambra, the Anambra that organized their primaries, was an illegal one. So if you didn't think that you should act fast by chasing those people away, why is it that it is in the case of Abia that you have chosen to do it?
Lekon, let me take you this. INEC, for strange reasons, issued out a certificate of return. And knowing the significance of this certificate of return, can we have two people? And
it claimed, INEC also claimed that it didn't receive any notice of appeal.
Notice of appeal.
It got a notice of appeal.
Two certificates of returns?
My worry, really, when I examined the issues, I was thinking to myself that, are we dealing with an incompetent INEC?
Or a deliberately mischievous one?
Thank you very much for that word. That was the word I was looking for. Or a deliberately mischievous INEC. It claimed that it must issue certificate within 7 days. Now, the Attorney General of Abia State says that in their objections to an INEC, they included the stay of execution order from the court. Yes. And it was stamped
by an INEC staff.
By a named clerical officer in the INEC
in the
office.
Legal department.
In the legal department.
It's meant to be the chairman's office.
So, I don't understand, is it that clerk is the one that said go ahead, or something happened? Because I don't really seem to understand what is going on here.
Today, I smell corruption in all this.
Well, I think what we have to admit is that, like every other institutions of governance in Nigeria, the judiciary too is having its day. And we can all see through that the judiciary too is corrupt through and through. Because if it is not so, there's no reason why a clerk should be in such a hurry in order to append his signature to a particular, to give that particular certificate of return, knowing fully well, after consulting senior authorities, that this is a court of appellate jurisdiction. Your pronouncement is not the last. So why the hurry in giving a letter of return? Knowing fully well that it has invalidated what they have done. So all we are saying now is that the judiciary, this is the best time. Let us test the law. I want to believe that at the end of this exercise, we will have been able to really put the law into test, both the bench and the bar, without corruption. Because now I can see a titanic legal battle arising out of this particular. It is not confusion. It is a deliberately mischievous stand on the part of the judiciary to have done that.
Now, Jide, when you look at the situation now, curiously, Governor Ikezi Ekweazu declared a public holiday last Friday and a public holiday today, and there's a national public holiday
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday. That means everything in Abia State is going to be stalled till Thursday, technically. And the chief judge said, "Look, I have been on my, I was in my office from 8:30 to 5 on Thursday. That some mischievous people are saying that I'm nowhere to be found. That I'm here to do my duty."
The thing is, that's when they say there are two governors in Abia. I know that it's a very stupid thing to say. There's only one governor in Abia.
Technically.
There's only one governor. Only one governor was sworn in. So we should not fall into the pit of tabloids trying to make money from an unfortunate situation.
Because a certificate of return does not make you a governor.
It doesn't make you a governor. You must be sworn in.
You have to be sworn in.
You must be sworn in. Oga can go wherever he wants
without paper
and parading himself like
no, they started the psychopaths. They started describing him as His Excellency.
Actually addressing him as Excellency.
The Excellency.
He is a phony governor, a governor that does not exist. Nobody swore him in, and he will not be sworn in. I'm telling you, the reality is the matter is even made worse by the pronouncement from the Abia State Internal Revenue Service that the certificates that Ekweazu presented were not fake. And that the fact that Saturday was written on the certificate only indicates that that was the day that he asked for it. That it doesn't make it fake. In any case, Ebuade Borua has even said it that Nigerian law recognizes only the Muslim holiday and the Christian holiday, or October 1, as non-working days. Ayo, you and I have seen, since we started doing this job, we have seen judges deliver judgment on Saturday.
The thick of the night.
On Saturday, judges deliver judgment. Yeah. When Wike was sacked the other day in Abuja, the judge that sat in Abuja was on Saturday. Right. So how can you say because a task certificate read
to deliver a judgment on Saturday?
Because forget even that. That's not a good example to say. The June 12th judge. If a judge could read his judgment on Saturday, you cannot say a task certificate issued on Saturday is fake. Because it's not a working day. Who told you it's not a working day? No. People, and this, we see lawyers lawyers parading themselves like people who know the law, coming out.
Even
I was watching a TV
one of their
program,
shameless lawyers, one of the even threatened to blacklist us when they get to government house.
Let me tell you.
Very shameless, ridiculous.
Ayo, let me tell you, integrity is in very small quantity within the legal family. It's very integrity. Somebody wrote the other day. He said, "Why are you?" He said, "Why do we have so many sons, whereas there's no justice in Nigeria?" That's talking about the lawyers. The reality is when lawyers sit down in a TV station, cross their legs, and they are saying that, oh, there was no notice of impeachment. I mean, no notice of appeal. And me, a journalist, I read it. Let me tell you, the Nigerian law is written in English. Honestly. Forget the overrated lawyers who come and give us the impression that they are the only ones who understand. It is written in English.
In English.
It is written in English. And if it is written in English, we understand English.
And it is not too ambiguous to understand.
Look, remember the other day, you will see Femi Falana talk about something, call Osekome to talk about the same thing. They will never have unanimity. They will be
for obvious reasons.
Yes, why can't lawyers say the truth? I know that Charles Dickens said that lawyers are a category of people trained in the art of saying black is white and white is black according as they are trained. But people must show morality now. They must, because if you live your life just deceiving people, just lying, what do you gain at the end of the day? It's ridiculous. The people who have made this matter look so terrible are the lawyers. Nothing else. Just lawyers.
Press conferences all around.
And for what they can eat.
Adole is calling us from Kaduna State. Hello, Adole.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Adole.
It's been a while, yes. I've been one of the ardent listeners of your program.
Thank you for keeping
yes, I'm happy thanks for the opportunity given to me.
Okay.
See, the issue of the Abia elections and all that, you see, the fact remains that the INEC, since the inception of this administration, INEC has been very, very, unprofessional, so to speak. I can't really tell. In fact, considering the elections that have been conducted so far, since the got left, all the elections have been inconclusive. And now look at the problems in Abia State. They didn't even allow this man to appeal. They issued a certificate of return to the other man. I think the whole problem is INEC. That is causing the whole problem. So I think INEC should wake up. Perhaps we should bring the guy back. That is my
the man said this
let him go and enjoy it. Let him enjoy his time.
You know the question that when two lawyers sat down and were talking absolute tosh, one viewer called, and that viewer behaved like somebody much more sensible than the people he was listening to. When he said, okay, if after Oga had been allowed to take office, Ikpeazu now appeals. Do you mean he will now leave for Ikpeazu to come back in? Yes. That's not how justice is done anywhere in the world. In America, some people spend 30 years on death row and they will not execute them. They will not execute 30 years. I know somebody who was sentenced to death in 1978. 1978, only to be put to death, I think 2 years ago. So you must let the appeal, the normal appeal process, let it be exhausted. Why should you be in an indecent haste?
In a hurry.
Everything in Nigeria is just inverted. Why now?
Upside down.
The corruption.
It's corruption.
They said it has been. They refer to the man as His Excellency.
Which
Because
somebody gets to
there's already there are even EFCC cases against the man. No? There are even EFCC cases against the man, and he doesn't have immunity.
Let's just move on. Moving on. Yesterday, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority directed all airlines operating in the country, particularly foreign carriers, to immediately stop the sale of their air tickets in the United States dollars and other foreign currencies. It said the act contravened the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria guidelines to cost of products and of services in Nigeria. But can we effectively enforce this law when most foreign airlines have their charges on their website and it is uniform across the world? Jide, we've gotten to, let me start from you, Tunde. We've gotten to a stage that people want to go to the United States now and they have to go to Ghana. From Ghana, they now, connect their flights and everything, and because they'll get it cheaper. And the flip side of it, we've seen airlines pulling out of Nigeria because their monies and everything they've been making have been trapped because of this Naira dollar currency right now, the policy, the new policy. Now, they're not saying that we should not be paying for it in dollars. If to go to London now, from here to Heathrow, if they're telling me I fly British Airways and it will cost me like $2,000, I'm just saying. And now if I want to pay, I must pay in Naira, not in dollars.
Well, what we have to know is that irrespective of whatever fate has befallen any country at any point in time, the government of that country owes it a responsibility to protect the sovereignty of that particular country. And the Naira is a symbol of Nigeria's sovereignty, whether you like it or not. And having said that, no matter how bad, the Naira is still our legal means of legal tender, and it's our currency, and we have to protect it. In fact, if failure to even protect and defend the currency, it means that we are not likely to come out of that recession that we are in now. Yeah, having said that, we also have to know that Nigeria is in recession, and we have to take all necessary measures. Officially in recession. We have to take all measures to protect the beatings, the several beatings that the Naira has been taking from all the other major currencies, especially the dollar and the British pound sterling. So I think it is not out of place to say that we must buy in Naira, because when you now say it is dollar, it's also going to drive the demand for dollar up. Then the Naira will continue to fall. So it is an attempt to protect the Naira. The government owes a responsibility. In spite of the necessities, or they say that we want pound sterling, we want dollar. A country, a government has the responsibility to protect its own. If you are a patriotic Nigerian, or if the Nigerian government is very patriotic, or Nigerian citizen, we have to defend what is our own. Yes, if you have money, you can, first of all, take a flight to Ghana because you are going to America. Go to Ghana, spend their local currency, because it is not impossible that it is city they will take from you. Spend their local currency.
No, you spend Naira, 43,000 Naira to go to Ghana.
Go to Ghana and now buy dollar in Ghana and go to America. But I think at a point in time, we have to show our patriotism as a citizen. And patriotism starts from defending what is your own. Look, all those airlines that have left Nigeria, I am telling you, within a very short time, they are going to come back to this country. Yes. Because this country is
where the market
go down. This is where the market is. How many multinationals have put it up? Once the economy peaks, they will come back to this country.
Lagos, London, Heathrow is one of the busiest. Lagos, South Africa, Lagos, London, Lagos, New York, Lagos, Dubai.
We also have to know that, look,
one of the busiest.
A week, barely 3 days after the Britons voted that they wanted to go out of Europe, within 72 hours, you know how many petitions they received. Which means those people who voted are bare illiterates. Yes. People who are 50 to 70 years.
50 to 70,
they don't know anything. So let our government, let us protect what we have in spite of anything. If you want to get the luxury, you can go to Sierra Leone, Papa. to travel to America, go to Sierra Leone, spend 45,000.
Lincoln, what are we talking about here? It's not even a regular practice. One or two times I've had to.
So we have to defend our naira.
I paid the naira, go to my agent, pay the naira, and collected my ticket in naira. So, but what's this new practice of paying to get your ticket in dollars?
Well, the airlines, don't forget, their services, repair of their aircrafts, some of the things they use in running their airlines, the salaries of their pilots, even dividends to their shareholders is paid in their home country. And so when they sell tickets in naira and central bank is unable to give them FX in exchange for the naira, they have problems paying overseas. So that's why they are threatening to withdraw from Nigeria. And they know that if they will go to the black market, that's not good for business
at all.
So they would rather, what we need to understand is that they are now sending the passengers to the black market to go and buy
their tickets,
to go and buy FX,
FX
on the black market, since central bank will not give you
okay, now I get it.
Do you understand?
Use your naira.
You use your naira, you go to the black market, you go to the Aladi market, at whatever price they sell, and then you now bring the dollar to them. So they collect it, and then
so they won't have to run after anybody to convert naira to.
Another way to beat it is to now say we have moved our office to Ghana. You can either travel to Ghana and buy your ticket and fly from Ghana, and you are making visa money for revenue for Ghana. Abi, isn't that so? That's one. Then two, you can also buy your ticket online, which is going to be denominated in dollar. Do you understand? And for you to fund your account in your bank, for you to be able to pay online by dollar, you also will have to visit Aladi market and buy at the black market rate. So they are making Nigerians do the dirty work for them. And there used to be a time when the Federal Central Bank was giving them dollars at $197 naira.
Yes.
And then they will now go and sell and make money. They are making money two ways. They are making money, one, by selling flights, and then FX. Do you understand? So the party is over now. And so they are looking for every which way to get out of it. I think the federal government should really be very firm.
Finally, what do you make of this situation?
I think this is a decision that we should have taken a long time ago. It's not only the airlines. It's not only the airlines misbehaving in this way. You can't come into a country and then try to force the people to use a foreign currency for transaction within that country. You can't try it even in South Africa. It is the currency that you must use for transaction. The only place where you can use the dollars is in the duty-free shops in the airports.
Let me add, Jide, that there are some houses in Ikoyi in Nigeria.
Yes.
And they are paying in dollars. So the CBN should go beyond airlines.
The CBN even
and migrate to those
dollars. The CBN even want the banks that they should stop collecting and using dollars for transaction.
Exactly.
Because there is a law, Section 20, subsection 5 of the CBN Act, prescribes 6 months imprisonment for anybody who does not accept the dollar, the naira. So we have dollarized the Nigerian economy for so long. Nigeria is the #1 importer of the dollar. We have
$4 billion.
They are bringing dollars from West Africa now.
We need $4 billion every month.
They are smuggling dollar into Nigeria.
From West Africa, from
They are smuggling dollar. That's what I'm saying.
And it's a pressure on the naira. It's a pressure on the naira. We are bringing the naira down.
So we should have done this a long time ago. We should have done this a long time ago. That's the best way to protect our currency. We have laws. It's just that those laws are not respected. If the law says that if you transfer business in foreign currency, you go to 6 months jail. Why haven't we jailed people? How many people have we succeeded in jailing?
And make example of them.
Yes. Until we start doing that, this nonsense will not stop. Why should you come to
Nigeria
Nigeria
and be
and
demanding that we have to
brush
use
aside
foreign
our
currency?
own currency and be trading in dollars? All those
they
malls,
accept
all
naira
those
in their
malls
countries?
where this nonsense is happening, they should send security agents to those malls to lock up those malls and then take their MDs and their supervisors and put them in jail. We have prisons where they deserve to stay.
All right. I want to thank you, Tunde Abato. Thank you, Lekon Shote and Babajide Kolade Oshitoju. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TBC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubabo. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.